listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. It's not about the destination. It's about going someplace you never thought possible. Go to imaginenext.ingrammicro.com to find out more. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Keri Roberts, and my guest today is Mark Thames, the Global Partner of Business Development for the AI Enterprise at Juniper Networks. Welcome, Mark. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
For some people, AI sounds like this futuristic thing, but it is here and it is growing. Can you share with us some of the more popular current uses of AI right now?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first hear AI, I think of like a robot chasing Will Smith on a motorcycle in a movie somewhere, right? And it sounds like a keyword, ooh, AI. It sounds really cool and futuristic. But really, if you think about it, when Mist was created, instead of hiring a lot of wireless people, they hired data scientists. And a lot of popular use cases right now with AI is really getting better insight into your environment to really do better automation, to quickly solve problems, and to have self-driving environments. But even for things where maybe a network can't solve itself, or there might be something physical like a bad cable, for example, we can go in and add to that IT person to help them manage their environments a lot better and faster. And really, if you think about where it's really being used, I look at it as being able to find needles in a haystack. You know, when you troubleshoot environments and you're doing a lot of troubleshooting, it can be very stressful. You know, you have your boss breathing down your neck because, you know, you might have something critical down. But, you know, it allows you to rapidly find issues to solve problems. And then the other thing it does is there's environments that just can't go down. And when they do go down, companies lose a lot of money. Because they can't operate their business. And that's also where we've had some fun, interesting things where AI has found a problem where different groups were fighting, you know, over something that was broken and couldn't find the problem. But then AI was able to rapidly just say, hey, by the way, you know, here's the problem right here. And then they're like, oh, there it is. And then they fixed it. So that's really where I'm seeing AI being used right now.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about it being, you know, a way to automate. You know, you talk about machine learning, all these different elements of it. And you're right. I think a lot of people do think of those Will Smith movies, but it is so much more. There are still some people and organizations that do fear AI. What would you say are some of these maybe common fears, and how do you showcase the positive attributes and value of AI to a partner and their customers?
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, we all build our careers on becoming an expert at something, right? And the more of an expert we are at something, the more valuable we are, right? And so there are some people that fear AI because they say, oh, well, I might be the best troubleshooter out there, right? However, what I've found is a lot of times things are manual, things take long, you know, too long to do. And in this world, our businesses we're having to rapidly change our environments. I mean, look what happened with this pandemic. We had to change the way we did business overnight. There's a lot of things that you have to do that took a lot of people to do. I know in my past, when I was a network director, it took me a lot of network engineers to make a single change on my environment. I had to, you know, basically have people work on nights and weekends, and they couldn't go in without a change control. And you know, then if we had an outage, you know, it was stressful. So that fear that's saying, well, is this just going to replace me? And the honest truth is no. What it's going to do, it's going to make you even more valuable to your company that you work for, because instead of being a firefighter and constantly fighting outages and trying to solve problems, you're now providing a more stable, you know, environment to your company, and you can spend more time on how you can be creative and how you can use your network. Because networks became commodities, just like you'd buy, you know, you go to your house and you get garbage and water and electricity. Well, you know, now that you don't have to worry about spending all your time troubleshooting and trying to take a long time to deploy things, you can be more valuable to a company to how you can use that infrastructure to really solve business outcomes and do things to improve your customers and environments and do a lot of neat things. So that's why I believe AI is something to really embrace. And if I was back in the network engineering side of the house, I'd be really excited about this, because quite honestly, it would turn me into a rock star. Even if I was a rock star, you're really going to be a rock star now.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I love how you said that. You had mentioned Mist earlier. Juniper acquired the AI-powered networking startup Mist Systems back in March of 2019. And Mist was a fast-growing company in the wireless space, but it's always been defined as an AI company and now putting more of a focus on Mist Cloud. One of the things for people that don't know that Mist tends to focus on is the pragmatic side of AI and what it can do for businesses with the actionable insight it can provide from big data. And also, one of the main differentiators for Mist is its focus on the client experience. Can you tell us more about this and what Mist 360 is bringing?
Absolutely. So this is the first time I've worked with a product that our customers are telling us how they're using it and we're being blown away. It's also the first time I've seen a type of IT product that was generally for accessing things like a network that's helping companies even become more profitable, right? I've seen everything. If you look at it being in the cloud, it's pretty amazing because it allows you to be more efficient. It's kind of like set up kind of like Netflix. If you had to go download Netflix and download all the content every Tuesday for you to get new content, you probably wouldn't like it very well. So us being in the cloud allows us to automatically update it and have the user and of Mist be able to get all this new technologies right away, kind of like Tesla does with your car. If you buy a Tesla, what happens is you don't have to wait and buy the next year's model to get the new feature. As soon as it comes out, it comes out. And this is the same way. And that's one of the amazing things about it being in the cloud. But the interesting thing with the AI for businesses, actionable insights are, you have a problem. We had a customer, a very large customer that everybody knows if I said their name, where they had a big logistics warehouse and somebody went and put the wrong date in a configuration. And this normally would have taken somebody to troubleshoot, since it was done through different groups, hours, if not days, to try to find. And Mist and AI saw this right away and called this customer and said, "Hey, by the way, did you know that this whole logistics, every Windows machine in this building is down?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" And they went and looked and like, "You're right." But actionable insights, as we told them, "By the way, it's down, but here's why it's down." We showed them, go here, and then they were easily able to find that needle in a haystack to say, that's what happened. Somebody put in the wrong date, right? That's crazy. And then the other way that people are using this was customer experience is really neat with location services by putting in the BLE technology. If you looked at today and you looked at, the world we live in a new world now. Normally when I would walk into a Walmart, there'd be a greeter at the door welcoming me to the store. A lot of times it would be a senior citizen. You don't see that happening right now. We have a global pandemic going on. However, Walmart can go in and use the Walmart app and a virtual beacon with Mist to welcome you to the store and show you where to go and what to find and how to find it. And oh, by the way, if you're going there and you're looking at toothpaste, they could say, "Hey, here's a coupon." And then they can take that data from those users that were, in their store and their customers, and then use that to know what's working, what's not, and then sell some of that marketing data back to the toothpaste manufacturers, for example. This doesn't sound like just a wireless commodity thing, does it? There's so much you can do with it to improve your customer's experience. And we're really seeing it across the board on different use cases that people are using. And it's really interesting to see some of even the new ones in these new worlds, that we have to live in, because the way we do things, the way we access things has obviously changed as well.
No, that's really exciting. And we've talked also a lot about IoT on this show. As we know, IoT is everywhere, but you also suggest that companies aren't really growing their IT department to keep up with this, which you kind of were just talking about a moment ago. Mist acts like an addition to the IT department. Can you tell us maybe a little bit more about how it does that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the problems I always had at a growing company is the more devices on my network, the more I had to support, the more bandwidth I needed, the more ports I needed, the more problems that were caused, right? And now it gets even crazier because what are you putting on my network, right? And even from a security standpoint, I can tell you now with an IoT device, you can have everything from a garage door opener to a refrigerator to a different device that comes in that's doing something critical to a business. What about a robot, right? You go into an Amazon distribution center. They're using robots too, right? But the problem that I always had is I couldn't keep getting new headcount, keep growing. And if you remember what I talked about, how AI, could sound scary to some people, this is a dream come true, because what it can do is allow you to scale your environment without having to go to your boss and ask for more headcount. And the way we do that is with our virtual network assistant, which we call Marvis. And this is a way to interface with Mist and be able to use plain language and talk to Mist, kind of like you would talk to your Google Home, your Amazon Alexa. It's a chatbot. And you can go in and say, hey, you know what, Marvis, I'm having a problem here. And Marvis will come and tell you what the thing is. And so if I told you you could have a brand new member of your IT department that you don't have to train, that's fully certified, that can troubleshoot your entire environment, that can learn your entire environment. And by the way, they're available 24/7, and they can't quit on you. That's pretty awesome, right? And what they do is you can also configure this with this AI to say, did you want to let Marvis heal things and automatically fix things? Or are there things that you still want to fix? I mean, we had one customer that was getting 200 help desk tickets a month based on their wireless. And by using Marvis and the virtual network assistant, they're now down to 2. And the goal is to get them to 0. So that's how much more efficient they're being. But really that scale and being able to scale, and also having it be in the cloud, unlike controller-based systems and other things, especially even with our switching being cloud-enabled now, rolling it out, it's quick. It's like, I need more capacity. Great. Take your phone, take a picture of the QR code on the switch, have it go configure itself with Mist in the cloud. Don't need to install new servers, don't need to install new controllers, and just expand as you need to. And it's really changed the way we even deploy our environments. And so there's a lot of really neat things you can do, because it's going to get worse and worse and worse, because every day there's more devices and more things being developed that connect to a network, right? And that makes the network even more important as well.
With the Marvis kind of AI you're talking about, is that machine learning based, or is it something that your team has to go in and constantly update and look at the back end of what the questions are being asked and the problems and update it on a consistent basis?
No, that's the great thing about it. Think about how a child learns a language. So AI is the same way. Marvis is the same way. It learns the environments. And when Mist was originally created, they hired a lot of data scientists, and these were for some data scientists that worked with companies that troubleshot almost every network outage problem you can think of, right? To put these in there to automate those things. But the important thing, Mist, is you don't have to go configure Marvis. Marvis is inside the Mist cloud. It's gotten even easier now with Marvis Conversations, because unlike configuring other things where you have to learn a new operating system or a new language, you can just talk to Marvis like normal and say, hey, Mark's having issues with his wireless, or Mark can't connect to the network. And then Marvis can tell you where the problem is and how would you like me to fix it? How can I fix it? And more importantly, it's not just with that piece, with the AI-driven enterprise, with the rest of the product lines with Juniper, we can troubleshoot your wired networks with wired assurance. You can troubleshoot your WAN with WAN assurance and your SD-WAN and all your entire environment. It's pretty amazing. But no, anytime there's an update also to Mist, it's done into the Mist cloud. And being built on microservices really makes it an agile platform to build, and it gets updated. So it's not like you have to go update your network. I mean, you get something new, like we released, new zero-touch provisioning with wired assurance. It's there. It's boom. It's there. It's not like you have to add. We did something around some of our contact tracing stuff with congestion notification. We just built a map and built an analytics menu, and boom, the customer don't have to configure anything. They have their live view working, they go in there, and that menu's there, and they can now see it, right? I mean, they have to configure their zones and things like that, but it's not like you got to go start over or train AI. It's not the way it works. AI learns. You don't train it, it learns.
I love your enthusiasm for all of this. I'd love for you to share a little bit more of maybe some other examples beyond the ones you gave of how to utilize all of this in today's world, especially with the growth of things like a touchless environment and the need for safety.
Yeah, one of the big things that we found that we could use this with the technology, especially around our Bluetooth Low Energy location services, was around this whole pandemic. And how do we help offices open up safer, right? And one of the things that we were able to do was put in support for contact tracing. You've probably heard a lot about contact tracing on the news. It's gotten a really bad rap. Like, a lot of places have to do it manually. They try to do it in some countries where are very invasive to your privacy. But what we were able to do with Mist was be able to leverage your environment to be able to do user journey mapping. Where did I go in a building? when I was there, who did I come into contact with? You can do user, hot zone congestion. Am I basically violating social distancing? Right. So you think about this. I mean, you have a school, my high school son's back into high school now, and I get an email every once in a while saying, hey, somebody tested positive. But by using this technology, they can now go in and say, well, we knew we had somebody that tested positive. We don't have to close the school down for 2 weeks because we know this person was only in this area of this building of the school in this classroom for only this amount of time. So, everyone was wearing a mask, or you can make a decision if you want to go get tested. You can do all those things now. From a liability standpoint for a company, to be able to open up your office safer, to be able to provide these things. I know if I go to the work, I'm actually in an office right now, where we all have masks on, we're social distancing, we're doing those things. But what if I turned out a couple of days later and I was sick? I could call HR. We integrate with these like the ServiceNow HR management systems with this, because there's a lot of privacy, but a way to use privacy, back tools to be able to protect people is pretty amazing. And then on the other side, on helping businesses open, you can open based on, what area you're in or state you're in by, I can open up 25%, 50%, 75%. I heard Florida just opened up 100%, but I remember going to like a Home Depot and standing in line to try to get in because we could only open up 25%. But then everybody went to one part of the store. It's like everybody goes to the grocery store and everybody seems to be in the produce aisle, right? Well, now you can create zones in those stores and you can have people manage that store a little bit better through seeing the technology and being able to see it through connected and unconnected, either wireless or Bluetooth, Bluetooth ID badges, all these other technologies, connected apps. It's pretty amazing what you can do with it and what you can do with the technology. And, we're the ones that do that, and it's built into the antennas. You don't need third-party beacons for this. And being able to use those analytics, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, to have to close a whole building for 2 weeks because one person, was sick, when you could really find out they really only went here and really only could have potentially exposed these people only, you can keep your business up and running and then notify those people through HR in a privacy way that follows HIPAA and the other things that we have to follow from a privacy perspective. It's pretty amazing technology versus having to manually do it. You want to call somebody when they get sick and say, who did you talk to? Give me your friend's phone numbers. It could be a total stranger that you were next to. So it's pretty amazing technology you can use all embedded into the Mist platform.
Well, and I think it's comforting to know that we have made advances since the beginning of the pandemic from a technology standpoint. Of course, Juniper helps clients large and small. Walmart is one of your customers, and you also have various small businesses. So as people are kind of listening to this and they're saying, okay, I need something like that at my place of business or my place of work, how do you offer solutions for each business size, and what are some of the solutions you can offer?
Yeah, I mean, Walmart definitely, is the largest company in the world, right? And we do a lot with them with analytics and integration. I mean, they're using, the tools to do a lot of things. There's also amazing things with, doesn't matter what vertical you're in. Retail, we do great with, customer facing things to improve a customer's experience through their applications. We do a lot with schools and universities. Imagine this, I mean, schools being able to, if they're having a fire drill or some type of emergency situation, just be able to hand an iPad over to a first responder and be able to see where every child is in the school and know exactly where they're all at. Right? Did you clear the building? Is there someone walking around? You can do that. I talked a little bit about, the support for contact tracing and user journey mapping. You can do that. So we do a lot with schools and education. You do things like, Blue Dot. Imagine you go to a new university and you're going to orientation and you get the app on your phone and you don't know where your classes are. It's like, great, I'm starting University of Texas. And wow, there's 50 buildings here. Which one do I go to? Follow the blue dot, right? Go here. We do that in conferences, resorts, hotels. But then again, there's that other aspect of some of the more medium and smaller businesses that aren't really using Mist to focus on building something for their customers' experience, but yet they have those other things. They might not have a very large IT department. They might be in a rural area, might be a rural hospital. Less than a 75-bed hospital where they might have 3 or 4 IT people in their entire IT department. I mean, how great is that to be able to give them AI to help them troubleshoot and keep it? Just because a hospital is in a regional area and not in a major hospital in your city doesn't mean that it's less important. They both have to provide critical life-saving, things for everyone. So their environment is just as critical as the big ones. And they need the same tools and the same technology, but in a way that's so easy to use that they can all use it, and it can make them more effective and more efficient, so where they can take care of their business, and more importantly, keep it up and running, but also have these insights to the user experience to know what's going on in those environments. And we've seen this in county offices, smaller school districts, a lot of healthcare, you name it, banks, regional banks, credit unions. We're winning all over the place. But some of the big ones, it could be a gas station. And we're doing their SD-WAN, their WAN, their security, their switching, their wireless, and integrating everything into their app. To when you go to use the gas station, you can use your app now. You can go into the convenience store in the gas station, have everything be managed by AI in a single environment. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with this technology. Or touchless environments. Do you want to go touch an elevator button? Does anybody want to go get in an elevator and touch the buttons these days? So create a virtual beacon, automatically integrate that into the app on your phone, make it to where they can know what floor you need to go on, and put a Bluetooth reader in there so you don't have to push the button anymore. There's so many things you can do with these technologies that goes from all the largest company in the world down to regional hospitals, schools, healthcare, clinics. I mean, there's so many things you can do with this technology.
And everything you're mentioning, are these things that you're like, oh, someday can be done, or they're happening now? And these are things like people at your company can say, hey, we can get creative here, create the solution based on the products and services we have.
A lot of it is now. Definitely the AI is now. We have the wireless is what Mist was originally built on. And then we've included the wired assurance with the EX switching line. It can work with some other switches as well for basic troubleshooting, for AI for that. But for zero-touch provisioning and deployment and troubleshooting wireless networks, that is there in production. We're shortly adding security. Let's say somebody walks in and they have an infected Android phone, they connect to your network. You can see them walking around that they're infected. You can choose to say, do I want to quarantine that person? Do I want Marvis, my virtual network assistant, to automatically quarantine that person, right? Or that device. It's not even a person, it's a device, right? And so that's coming more near the end of this year. And then we're integrating all of the wide area networking for WAN assurance. This is my gateway having the issue? Is my circuit, so is that the problem? Is an application on my network? I remember one time where I had to troubleshoot a problem on my network with a video machine, a video telepresence system, where we kept having problems. I spent 3 weeks, replaced circuits, replaced network equipment, RMA'd stuff. And it turns out after 3 weeks, we found out that the problem is somebody had one misconfiguration in a video endpoint that caused the whole thing. To be able to see that immediately, that's what's going to be coming out with WAN assurance, probably later this year, early next year. But then that gives you the whole package for an AI-driven enterprise, right? So that's really where it's going. But again, we started with wireless and wired, and then very shortly we will be coming out with the security as well as the WAN assurance.
Well, and I think it makes people less frustrated too. Like you said, if you can find that needle in the haystack, it's less time, it's more efficient, which is great. I know you're talking about the future of kind of where Juniper is going, but when you think of technology as a whole, where do you see it going within the next year?
Within the next year, I think you're going to see more use cases and business outcomes on how people can use technology. So you're going to see more services being able to create from our partners. Right. So, our partners traditionally make money through installation and managed services. Now they're going to be able to add business outcome and application integration services. Things like mobile app development, DevOps, integrating into applications. We work with partners with our customers we have one partner where we worked with that integrated a university's application into Mist. Right, into the Mist software development kits and being able to do the blue dot and the contact tracing and all these things. There's a lot of business outcomes. And what I see in the future is you look at science fiction all the time. You say, "Oh, that'd be cool to look at in the future." I mean, I think I was watching an HBO show, and the main star walks into a hotel and holds her in and says, "I need a room." Doesn't talk to anyone, just walks in the lobby and says, "Your room's on the 10th floor, 1023. Walks right over to the elevator, has a device that can do Bluetooth, doesn't have to touch the elevator, takes in the room, phone opens the door, turns on everything they want, all their settings in the room, fully automates everything. You don't have to go talk to somebody, give them a credit card, get a plastic key, touch an elevator button. With a lot more automation happening with the way we do things in the future, it's going to need technology to go along with it and being able to offer new services. And partners have a huge opportunity to be able to work with their customers on business outcomes and not just selling them a commodity, selling them a utility. I mean, how fun is it to go in and buy your water and garbage service, right? For your house. But man, what if you can go in and use technology to help your customer make their company that much better than their competitor? Really cool things. I've heard so many use cases that just blew my mind. And they're like, can I do that? And I'm like, yeah, that would actually work. Right? Knowing where people are, knowing how to interact with them, knowing how to interact with applications and interact that with your infrastructure and to make sure your infrastructure is up and working and it's not going down. And if you do have a problem on it, not spending all your IT budget on having people fight fires, have them use the technology to, further their business or make their offices safer, or make them more efficient. And that's really what's happening right now. So like the future is now when it comes to that. And you can do those things now. But yeah, there's so many things you can do, from biosecurity to all different kinds of things you can do with Mist that, you could do it before, but you need third-party tools, integrate different things, different systems, different servers. Mist, you connect to the Mist cloud, you have an access point, you have a switch, you have a gateway device, for your SD and your WAN, for your SD-WAN and your security, and boom, you're there.
I love it. If people want to learn more about anything we spoke about, or maybe they want to connect with you, where are the best places to do that?
You can go to, juniper.net/Mist, or we still have mist.com. There's so much information if you go into resources, into the menu and on the mist.com site to find user case studies. There's a lot of different case studies out there. There's a lot of different competitive analysis. There's a lot of different blogs and a lot of great information about AI and just everything in general that I've talked about. Partners, definitely go to the Mist partner portal, mist.com/partners or partners.mist.com. You can go there and get certified. By the way, getting certified on Mist takes, it took me a couple of afternoons. It's free. It's easy. You just go click Get Certified. It'll take you to the Mist University. It's all self-paced. It's free. It's easy. We're not asking you to go spend, 3-4 weeks in a formal class and study and take a test 3 times to try to pass. I mean, it's because the technology is simple. I mean, Juniper's, our passion is engineering simplicity, right? This really is, even down to the training and certification. So, but on the Mist partner portal, if you're not a Mist partner, a Juniper partner, we do have one Juniper partner program, and we have a Mist specialization called Mist AI Access specialization, where you can also, partner with Mist as well on the wireless products and the Mist cloud products. But overall, you can learn pretty much everything you need there. I mean, most of what I've talked today is on there. There's different cases, different neat things you can find, and free training, and it's all out there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for sharing your enthusiasm and for all the knowledge that you provided for us today.
You're welcome.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSoul with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Keri Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production with Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform.